and welcome to episode 39 of Sustainability Simplified. I'm your host, Zitin, and today I want to address the idea of the plastic free journey. I wanted you to get a quick glimpse of an actual practical example of the plastic free journey, and for that, I have with me Himanshu Dua, who is the founder of My Pahadi Dukan, which is for our global audience, translates as My Shop in the Hills. Welcome, Himanshu. It's wonderful to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Zitin. Thank you so much for having me. I think it's been following your podcast journey for the last few months now, and I must say that it's a pleasure being a part of this podcast now.
Thanks so much, Himanshu. Thanks for those kind words. It really means a lot. It's wonderful to have you as well. So, are you ready? Should we dive in directly?
Yeah, yeah, please, please, by all means.
Awesome. So, can you start by sharing a little bit about My Pahadi Dukan and how did the idea come about, really? Also, what products do you offer?
So My Pahadi Dukan, it's a curated online marketplace wherein we work with small businesses and farmers of the Himalayan region. We are the first of its platform wherein you can access all the Himalayan products. It's like a one-stop shop. And currently, we are working in more than 10 states. I mean, our vendors are based in more than 10 states, all the way from Kashmir to Nagaland. We are mostly dealing with food and beverage products at the moment, and planning to expand the catalog into other categories. Maybe in the next 1 to 2 years, offer handicrafts or handlooms from the region. The idea for My Pahadi Dukan actually came when we were pursuing this fellowship called Naropa Fellowship. It's a year-long residential program in the mountains, wherein which talks about entrepreneurship in the Himalayan region particularly. So, we identified that we had so many friends in the region who created such amazing products.
Yeah.
But then back home, people didn't know about them, and even if people knew about these products, there was no convenient way to access them. So we just
Yeah.
wanted to bridge the gap between these small businesses and the consumers who wanted to purchase these items, and the idea for My Party Dukan came into being. So you may think of us as like Etsy or Amazon, but for the mountains and more inclined towards creating a positive social impact. So we believe in three P's. I mean, the basic three P's: people, planet, and the profit. At My Pahadi Dukan. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's it's very nostalgic when you talk about Kashmir to Nagaland because I've spent some time in both the places. I'm Kashmiri, and of course, when I was serving the United Nations, I was posted in Nagaland. So it's very nice to hear that there's this entire thread going from the north to all the way to the east of the country, which is amazing. So thanks a lot for sharing that. I think I want to now get into the crux of the conversation as to why we are really here. I know that during our past conversations, you've also mentioned about how being so called plastic free has actually been a journey, a continuous journey for you. And it continues to be so. Of course, today, my Pahadi Dukan is 90% plastic free, but
Yeah.
I know it was a very, very long ride for you to really reach here. What I would like you to do is share some stories or instances from that journey so that people get a live sort of example or demonstration of how easy or difficult this journey can be.
Yeah. So, as a small business, we always had this dilemma whether we live in an economy or in at a stage where how do I put this? But plastic has become an integral part of our lives.
Yeah,
No matter if you go to a nearby shop to purchase, let's say, a single candy, or no matter you spend 10,000 bucks on a product, you'll still find plastic being part of it.
yeah,
So, similarly to every product, plastic has become an integral part of the packaging industry. And while there are alternatives, these alternatives are not easily available, and even if they are available, they for a small business it becomes very difficult to afford them. because the cost of this is either borne by the business or borne by the customer, and the customer has a lot of options. So I mean, it's a constant dilemma whether you want to focus on improving the customer experience, or whether you want to sort of be eco-friendly. So my Pahadi Dukan, when we started out, we were not entirely plastic free. We tried to be plastic free, but then at the same time, the customer experience was getting bad because the delivery companies in India work in such a way that they mishandle the packages, no matter how many
Yeah.
fragile papers you put, no matter how many notes you put. So initially, we faced quite a trouble when we were dealing with glass items in particular. Uh, but then, as we spoke about it, as we had internal team discussions about it, it was a gradual process for us. We are not quite there yet, but then it's a constant learning experience. And nowadays, more and more sustainable startups in the same field are coming up. And my Party Dukan always believes in the spirit of collaboration. So we recently, I mean, replaced the entire bubble wrap packaging with the honeycomb eco-friendly packaging, and now we are in the process of removing these plastic tapes with more sustainable paper tapes.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, yes, it's a constant journey for us, and in fact, we are also encouraging our vendors to do the same. Some of the vendors are located in very far flung regions, like the interiors of Manipur. Some of them are from the interiors of Assam. So we, by all means, are trying to provide this packaging material from our end to these suppliers, so that they can also be a part of us in this plastic-free journey now. But yeah, I mean, the journey has been exciting. The journey has been daunting, but I'm sure we'll get there very soon, Zitin.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think one big takeaway, and I mentioned this in episode 38 as well, where I talk about, one quick message for entrepreneurs, in Plastic Free July. A big part of this is also like entrepreneurs like you who are kind of aggregating products from different vendors.
Mhm.
It's a very big responsibility for you to actually align all your vendors, to make them
Yes.
ethical, to make them environmentally conscious, so that
Mhm.
the purpose of your organization also gets forwarded. At the same time, they can also kind of help you in that mission of
Mhm.
collaboration, as you rightly mentioned.
And at the
So
same time, I think it's also very crucial to convey the same message to your customers,
yeah.
that these breakages happen, but at the same time we are trying to make this the whole company and the whole business idea more sustainable.
Yeah.
So that same message needs to be conveyed to the customers, and customers at some point have to understand that we are all in this together. So it's a collective responsibility of the business as well as of the customers.
Absolutely, absolutely. And one concept that I always talk about in every talk or every conversation that I have about enterprise is the value chain,
Mm.
right? So right from the time you get your raw material till the time you reach the consumer, and how the consumer finally gives an end of life or a new life to the final
Yeah.
product, is what constitutes the value chain, at least for those who are listening and viewing this
Yeah.
episode, who may not be familiar with the concept, because I know you would be. But it's very important to have that thread running through, through the entire, all these stakeholders, your customers, your other partners, and vendors, through the value chain. So that's a
Yeah.
very important point that you brought through, which is what makes it exciting as well, right? So
Yeah.
so yeah, thanks for sharing that. I want to now invite you to share any advice that you might have for anybody who wants to be in this space, or is interested to know more about this space. What would be your top advice to them?
So I would use the term that you mentioned last time we were talking, is the eco anxiety. So please don't fall under the burden of that anxiety, because operating in an e-commerce business is already difficult as it is, especially in India.
Yeah.
So the journey cannot be, it's not an overnight journey, it's a slow journey. But make sure that your ethics and your values are clear, and make sure you do everything that you can to achieve to be a part of that journey.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's the biggest takeaway from you, as well as this is something I would like to convey to other D2C brand owners or to other business owners in India. Just take it slow, but make sure that you get there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a lot for sharing that. And yes, you rightly mentioned that anxiety and eco anxiety, particularly among sustainable entrepreneurs, is a real thing. It exists, and it can get a little too daunting. So
Yeah,
thanks for sharing that, Himanshu. That was very, very insightful. And I also thank you a lot to really share some of those practical examples of how entrepreneurs trying to be plastic free or trying to be sustainable is basically a journey of continuous improvement. Um,
yeah,
so thanks very much for that. I'm certain that our conversation today will motivate a lot of other people to really continue their journey or even start their journey of
yeah.
growing and or building purposeful businesses like yours. So thank you again, and thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much, Zitin, for having me. I think it was wonderful talking to you, and thank you for giving us insights into how we can, be a part of this journey and not be too hard on ourselves. So
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Absolutely, that tends to happen, right? Like, and you would be experiencing that yourself. Sometimes, as an entrepreneur, you're too self-critical, or you're too like, "Oh, I need to be sustainable right now at this moment and at the time when I'm launching out and or
yeah,
scaling up." So I know it can be a very, very hard journey. So
yeah.
which is nice. So thanks a lot for sharing your insights, your experiences, and being there on the show.
Thank you so much, Zitin, for having me.
Awesome. Thanks very much. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye. I need to go again. Thank you so much for listening and or watching. And if you liked this podcast, feel free to share it in your network. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to our YouTube channel if you liked the episode. The subscribe button is right here, right below. My key takeaway from today's episode was take it slow, but live by your values if you are starting and or growing your enterprise. I would love to hear your key takeaway from today. Don't forget to share it with me on at Zitin Munshi. That's at ZITINMUNSHI. You'll find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. See you in the next episode.